time portals are things of legend. For example, in Native American traditions across the Americas, beliefs in portals to other dimensions or times were deeply rooted. Sacred sites like Mount Shasta in California, Sedona in Arizona, Taos Pueblo in New Mexico, the Four Corners area, and Chaco Canyon were revered as places where spiritual energies intersected with the physical world. These locations were believed to facilitate communication with ancestors, encounters with otherworldly beings, and experiences of altered states of consciousness. As settlers and prospectors ventured into these sacred landscapes during the westward expansion, many reported strange phenomena and encounters that defied explanation. Tales of time slips and eerie experiences in these regions became part of local lore, blending indigenous beliefs with the mysteries of the American frontier. These encounters continue to fascinate those interested in the paranormal and spiritual aspects of these ancient landscapes. But are the old civilizations of Europe and the UK equally rife with hidden time portals? Too often, stories are anecdotal, without even witness names to go on. Few of these time slip tales have verified testimony of named, real witnesses, or, even better, highly credible or multiple witnesses. But a handful of them do. Here, we're going to examine maybe the 3 most credible stories of time slips, where someone purports to have momentarily slipped into the past. The seeming victim of a time portal. First off, in the heart of Liverpool, England, lies Bold Street, a bustling thoroughfare known not only for its vibrant shops and cafes but also for a phenomenon that has puzzled residents and visitors alike for decades, the Bold Street time slips. Numerous reports over the years have recounted eerie encounters where individuals seemingly step back in time, encountering scenes from Liverpool's past right amidst its modern hustle. What sets the Bold Street time slips apart is the consistency and credibility of the witnesses. Policemen, shopkeepers, and ordinary passers-by have independently reported similar experiences. They described walking along Bold Street and suddenly finding themselves surrounded by a different era, cobblestone streets, horse-drawn carriages, and old-fashioned storefronts bustling with activity. Some even claimed to have interacted with people dressed in Victorian clothing, going about their daily lives as if unaware of the modern world around them. One of the most credible came from an off-duty policeman. It was in 1996 when Frank and his wife Carol visited Liverpool for shopping. They separated at Central Station to go to different shops. About 20 minutes later, as he ascended the incline near the Lyceum leading onto Bold Street, Frank noticed an unusual quietness around him. Suddenly, a 1950s-era box van sped across his path, narrowly missing him with a beep of its horn. It bore the name Kaplan's on its side. Perplexed, Frank crossed the street to find Dylan's bookshop replaced by a store named Cripps, with women's handbags and shoes in its windows instead of books. Confusion set in as Frank observed people dressed in 1940s and 1950s attire on Bold Street. Men in trilbies and long overcoats. Women in scarves, berets, pillbox hats, and gloves. It dawned on Frank that he might have somehow walked into Bold Street from over 40 years ago. However, spotting a young woman in mid-1990s fashion, a lime-colored sleeveless top and hipsters, with a bag labeled Miss Selfridge's reassured him he was partly in 1996. Frank followed her into Cripps, only for the interior to abruptly transform back to Dylan's bookshop. Startled, he grabbed the girl's arm at the entrance and asked if she had seen it too. She calmly replied, "Yeah, I thought it was a new shop that had just opened. I was going in to look at the clothes, and now it's a bookshop." With a chuckle, she shook her head and left. This case is one of the most verified and credible in existence, given the sheer number of verified witness testimonies, with names attached, and the credibility of many of them. Most are people with more to lose than to gain from sharing such a story publicly. Second on our list, one of the most famous cases of a time slip involves 2 English teachers, Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, at the Palace of Versailles in 1901. Moberly, the principal of St. Hugh's College in Oxford, and Jourdain, the vice principal of the same college, embarked on a sightseeing trip to the Petit Trianon, a small chateau within the grounds of Versailles associated with Queen Marie Antoinette. As they explored the gardens of Versailles on a warm summer afternoon, the women became disoriented while searching for the Petit Trianon. Straying from the main path, they stumbled upon what appeared to be an idyllic rural scene with rustic cottages and peasants dressed in 18th century attire. The atmosphere seemed oddly still, with an eerie quietness enveloping the surroundings. As they continued their journey, the landscape around them started to morph into something out of a bygone era. They encountered individuals in period costumes, men with powdered wigs and knee breeches, women in elaborate dresses and powdered hair. The architecture and layout of the buildings also appeared different from their historical knowledge of the Petit Trianon. The women noted peculiar details, such as a cottage that did not appear on any maps of Versailles they knew. They encountered a woman sitting on a stool who seemed to be sketching. When Moberly asked her for directions to the Petit Trianon, the woman gave a vague response and directed them onward. As they reached the Petit Trianon itself, they encountered more strange occurrences. They observed people they described as unreal and sensed an oppressive atmosphere, unlike the lively and bustling tourist destination they had anticipated. The women felt increasingly uneasy and hurried back to the main palace grounds. Upon their return to Oxford, Moberly and Jourdain compared notes and realized they had both experienced the same surreal journey. They documented their experiences in a book titled An Adventure, published in 1911, where they recounted their inexplicable encounter at Versailles. The account of Charlotte Ann Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain's experience at Versailles is considered credible due to their identities as respected academics, Moberly as principal and Jourdain as vice principal of St. Hugh's College, Oxford. Their synchronized experience of encountering a different time period within the grounds, documented in their book, provided detailed descriptions of the landscape, architecture, and attire of individuals they encountered. Despite initial skepticism and alternative explanations, their reputations, meticulous documentation, and the historical accuracy of their descriptions have contributed to ongoing scholarly interest and debate about the existence of time slips and paranormal phenomena. Sir Victor Goddard, a distinguished officer in the Royal Air Force during the early 20th century, is renowned for his notable account of a purported time slip. In 1935, while flying his biplane over an abandoned airfield near Edinburgh, Scotland, Goddard encountered an unexpected storm. As he navigated through a tunnel-like cloud formation, the weather suddenly cleared, revealing a startling sight below him, a fully operational airfield that appeared modern and bustling with activity. The aircraft on the ground, the uniformed personnel, and the overall infrastructure were markedly different from the derelict state of the airfield he had passed only moments earlier. Perplexed by what he saw, Goddard continued his flight but later documented the experience in his book, Flight Towards Reality, published in 1944. In addition to describing the physical details of the airfield, Goddard noted making predictions about future developments at the site, including the construction of new hangars and the installation of updated runways, which were eventually realized. His story is considered credible for several reasons. Firstly, Goddard was a respected officer in the Royal Air Force with a reputation for reliability and integrity. His detailed description of the event included specific and vivid details of the airfield and the modernized scene he witnessed. Moreover, Goddard's ability to accurately predict future developments at the site, such as the construction of new hangars and updated runways, lends further credence to his testimony. These factors, combined with his lack of motive for fabrication and the corroborative evidence of his predictions, contribute to the credibility of his reported time slip experience. Lastly, in the 1950s, Father Pellegrino Ornetti, a Benedictine monk and respected scholar, made a startling claim that would captivate the world. He had witnessed scenes from the past using a revolutionary device known as the chronovisor. According to Father Ornetti, the chronovisor was a device capable of capturing and displaying events from history by detecting and interpreting residual electromagnetic radiation left behind by past events. He asserted that with the chronovisor, he and his team had observed historical events such as the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, performances of lost plays by ancient Roman playwrights, and even the last discourse of Napoleon Bonaparte. Father Ornetti's claims were met with both fascination and skepticism. He maintained that the chronovisor had been developed in secret by a team of scientists, including himself, who sought to uncover hidden truths of history. However, no physical evidence of the chronovisor has ever been presented to substantiate his claims, leading many to dismiss the story as an elaborate hoax or a product of Father Ornetti's vivid imagination. Yes, this last one actually has pretty much no credibility. Remember, we said 3 credible stories, not 4. But it was fun imagining having a handy-dandy chronovisor for a minute, wasn't it? It sure would make time slips a whole lot easier. No need to roam around waiting to stumble on a time portal. Might just save you a trip to Mount Shasta or Sedona. So, anyway, there you have it. As outlandish as claims of time slips might be, and they generally do end up sounding pretty far-fetched, there are cases which carry some level of credibility, and which are not easy to just dismiss offhand. 3 out of the 4 mentioned have never been debunked. But what do you think? It's probably worth keeping an eye open. Anyways, if your travels ever lead you to Bold Street in Liverpool or the Gardens of Versailles in Paris. That just about wraps up tonight's tale from Lorehound. Follow us as we sniff out more of history's most interesting stories.
As the hound dog entered the dimly lit library, he sensed an aura of mystery surrounding the ancient scrolls. The dusty shelves towered above him as he sniffed his way through the labyrinth of books. Suddenly, he picked up a scent and followed it to a secluded corner. With bated breath, he approached the shelf and pawed at the book, revealing the hidden scroll. As he rolled it out, he knew he had discovered a treasure worth protecting at all costs.